Hinoaki is on top of Selnia Flameheart, touching her chest, and she yells at him for being a pervert. Hekurieyu Academy is split into two tracks: servant education, where students are trained to be butlers or maids, and upper education, where students are taught proper etiquette. Selnia chats with Saikyo, an overtly sadistic and manipulative girl. Selnia wishes her dreary everyday life might change somehow. Kaida, the school principal, asks Saikyo to welcome the new transfer student, Aki. However, Selnia meets him first, and after accusing him of being a suspicious individual, an accident causes him to fall on top of her. She then chases him all throughout school, where a series of unfortunate circumstances causes him to end up in loose situations with several other students, including a clumsy maid named Sanai, her airheaded sister Sayori, as well as a childlike girl, Mamina. He eventually collides with Saikyo, who somehow recognizes him. As the angry mob led by Selnia arrives, Saikyo clears up the misunderstanding and introduces him as the transfer student in Servant Ed. When she brings up his past dream of becoming a bride, he finally remembers her as his childhood friend. He later enters his dorm room and meets his roommate, Kaoru, who also is part of Servant Ed. However, he is distant and aloof and tells him not to associate with him. Aki transfers into Saikyo and Selnia's class, despite the specific nature of the school, and the morning classes are still mixed. He meets two fellow butlers, the lecherous Shingo and pint-sized Mike. Aki learns that they, alongside Kaoru and an upper ed student, are the only boys in the entire school. During practical exercises, nobody comes to Aki's table to be served. Selnia and her friend, Fo, go to his table, but mainly for Selnia to torment him. Sanai collides and spills a hot meal on Aki, forcing him to bathe. She later offers to wash his back as atonement for all the trouble she had caused. Due to a series of accidents, they end up in an indecent position, causing him to be scolded by the head instructor, Mikan, but is met with approval by Kaede. At the pool, they undergo a simulation exercise of saving their master from drowning. Aki complains that they have to swim in their clothes, but Mikan disciplines him. Meanwhile, Saikyo meets with Selnia and apologizes on Aki's behalf, as he hasn't adjusted to school life yet. The two head to the pool to watch Aki, but Selnia merely laughs at him for struggling. They then observe the narcissistic upper ed student, Daikiji, dive stylishly into the pool. Suddenly, Mikan creates a strong current in the water, and Sanai ends up bumping into Aki again, and they both start to drown. Selnia tries saving them with a life buoy, but it hits Aki on the head instead. He awakens to see Saikyo watching over them. She shares that her mother remarried to a rich man, and Aki reveals he transferred into the academy because of the waived entrance fees, and because he no longer wanted to trouble his uncle who took him in after his parents died. Saikyo decides to help him adjust to school life, but her ulterior motives are unclear. She opens the door to reveal an eavesdropping Selnia, and although she denies it, she is genuinely concerned for his safety. Aki accidentally walks in a classroom to see Aise changing. Heide, her servant, threatens to kill him, but Aise instead chooses to marry him instead. The news shocks his friends, except for the jealous Shingo, and despite his explanations that it was all an accident, Mamina explains that the Kadim family is bound by a set of rules, one of which is that nobody is allowed to see your bare skin, aside from your husband. Heide then attempts several times to get Aki and Aise close together. She attempts to have them kiss during CPR lessons and knocks him out using heavy weights. When Aki is captured and forced into a tea party with her, he pleads with her that the sudden marriage is unreasonable. When he absent-mindedly lays a hand on her, Heide chases him away. Aki is absent the next day, not wanting to cause trouble. Later that afternoon, Kaoru overhears him being kidnapped. Meanwhile, Selnia remains troubled about Aki. Saikyo points out that if rumors about him continue, then it would tarnish their school's reputation, and Selnia jumps at this excuse to meddle with Aki. Kaoru reports Aki's kidnapping to them, and Selnia narrows down his location to two areas. Kaede and Kaoru inspect a gym storage room, only to find two girls kissing, while Selnia successfully finds Aki restrained in the infirmary. Selnia recalls that accidental exposure is an exemption under Kadim family rules. The jig is up, and Heide explains she only went so far because Aise truly loves Aki. Aise embraces him and hopes to one day receive his love. The pair then disappear. Later, Aki suspects that Saikyo knew about the loophole the entire time and calls her evil for waiting to see how things turned out. Selnia and Saikyo's relationship turns sour after the release of exam results, with Saikyo once again on top. Decades prior until now, Saikyo would make backhanded compliments to her during every test, infuriating her. During tea time, Aki gives Selnia a chocolate cake after seeing her upset. When he says that she shouldn't feel bad about losing to Saikyo, she storms off. Saikyo sees Selnia's enviable figure during physical examinations and remembers how she's been jealous of Selnia's developed body as early as their middle school days. Aki gives Saikyo a cake during tea time as well, but she also storms off when he gives her similar advice. When the school's water system breaks, the students are forced to bathe on the onsen for the time being. Shingo makes it his life's mission to peep, but he is stopped by Mikan. Meanwhile, Kaoru, who was disguised as a boy all this time, waits until everyone is out for her to enter the baths. Selnia and Saikyo meet during tea time, and the atmosphere is hostile. When an accident caused by Sanai causes Aki to spill his tray on them, they are amused when a plate lands perfectly on Selnia's chest. That evening, the two meet again at the baths. However, Selnia accidentally locks the door behind her, trapping them both inside. After their escape attempts fail, the two properly talk and sort out their feelings, and they both decide that neither ever wants to lose to the other, and they somewhat reconcile. Hearing Aki on the other side of the door, Saikyo lies that Selnia is in danger, and predictably, he knocks down the door, toppling straight on top of Selnia. The next day, the two reaffirm their rivalry. They see Aki in a misunderstanding as usual, and Selnia walks off irritated. The school will soon hold a ball, and Selnia is looking forward to it. In class, they learn that Kaede has arranged for those in Servant Ed to cross-dress, but since nobody wants to see Aki and Shingo in a dress, other arrangements will be made for them. However, this greatly troubles Kaoru. Forced by his father to transfer to Hakaryu Academy, he must disguise himself as a boy for the next 3 years. During cooking class, Kaoru impresses Aki with her expertise, and when he remarks that he'd marry her, she becomes embarrassed. Due to Sanai's troublemaking, their group ends with a failing grade. Aki enters the shower room and tells Kaoru that they should ask their teacher to reconsider, but he hurriedly leaves to protect his secret. Later, Aki gets the better of Kaoru during a martial arts class, but their physical proximity takes a toll on Kaoru, who is after all still a girl. They later deliver dresses to the upper ed for costume fitting, and Kaoru's attention is caught by the beautiful dresses and gowns, and Saikyo takes notice. She later sneaks into the dressing room to take a closer look. However, she's seen by Aki. She fears her secret is out and runs off. Meanwhile, the ball is in full swing, with Selnia basking in the glow. Saikyo catches Kaoru in the dressing room once more, and using a padded bra and some makeup, she transforms her into a beautiful maid, catching the eye of everyone at the ball. Aki, dressed in a Cupid costume, compliments her appearance. That evening, Kaoru writes in her journal that today was a disastrous day, but she admits she had fun. Later, Aki walks into her showering, and she fears for sure her secret is finally out. However, she is irked that she does not notice she is a girl due to her flat chest. Aki accompanies Selnia to their summer house as part of his servant exams. Once there, her maids tease that the two have a forbidden relationship. Selnia's father arrives, and his overly physical display of affection catches Aki off guard. Selnia later shows him her study and explains that part of an upper-class family is upholding their pride and prestige. Meanwhile, Saikyo and Kaoru partner up for their exam. She shows her a photo album of photos of her tormenting Aki. Selnia demands a rematch after losing in chess for the 5th time. One of her maids informs her that they have prepared a private room for her, under orders from her father. She reassures her that none of the maids will disturb them. However, Aki, drunk due to a whiskey chocolate, aggressively advances on Selnia, touching her chest and toppling her over, but he ends up falling asleep. The next day, Saikyo and Kaoru visit Selnia's beach house. They head to the beach where Saikyo catches Aki for sneaking glances at Selnia, while Kaoru refuses to put on a swimsuit due to her secret. They end up spending the whole afternoon at the beach, but Selnia, jealous to see Aki talking with Saikyo, ends up wandering too far into the ocean. Her top is swept away, and her leg cramps, and she begins to drown. Aki jumps in and brings her to shore. Saikyo convinces him to perform CPR, but before he can, she suddenly awakens and slaps him. That evening, she apologizes for her conduct towards him. Wanting to show her appreciation as a member of nobility, she approaches Aki and kisses him. Selnia is extremely embarrassed that she kissed Aki. Fo tells her that she must be happy, even though she denies it completely. Saikyo, somewhat jealous of the kiss, invites Aki out on a date, but he is suspicious about her ulterior motives. Selnia, now jealous they are on a date, follows them closely, but her disguise is useless due to her giant hair drills. She is joined by Saori and Sanai in following the couple to a restaurant and to the movie theater, where they watch a romance film. Saikyo is visibly enjoying tormenting Selnia. After karaoke, Selnia follows them into an arcade, where Saikyo pressures Aki into winning her a stuffed penguin. Selnia watches enviously from afar, but she loses track of them after she is roped into playing a dancing game. On the way back, Saikyo teases Aki over his wanting to become a bride again. He blames her for that fact, as a decade prior, she said he would make a good bride despite being a boy. This led him to write it down as his dream and recite it in front of class, leading him to become ridiculed. When she asks who his partner would be, he replies that at the time, he had her in mind as his partner. He tells her to stop spreading the rumor around, unaware that his answer turned her beet red. Kaoru receives a love letter from a girl named Sakura. The letter becomes the talk of the town, especially in the girls' locker room, but the heavy atmosphere between Saikyo and Selnia silences all conversation. During gym class, Kaoru tells his friends that he has no intention of accepting the confession and he intends to ignore it, but Aki points out that this would be disrespectful. While Shingo, Mitke, and Aki lecture Kaoru on how to interact with girls and relationships, the other girls ponder and reflect on the meaning of love, and they fixate especially on kisses, which reminds Selnia and Saikyo of that incident. Kaoru grows impatient and storms out, as all he wanted to do was turn down Sakura properly. Aki follows him and plainly advises her to tell her true feelings to Sakura, which Selnia and Saikyo overhear and take to heart. The boys observe Kaoru meet with Sakura and watch her turn down Sakura, but she ends up crying. Sakura asks her if she likes anyone, and Aki's face suddenly comes to mind. She becomes flustered that she likes Aki, but Sakura accepts that she's in love. Kaoru's friends approach her and commend her acting skills and gentleness. Meanwhile, Saikyo and Selnia, both moved by the love letter, have both found the resolve to be more honest with their feelings. After receiving tickets to a water park from Esto, Aki wonders who he should go with. He finds Selnia and Saikyo in a confrontation, interrogating each other over their intentions with Aki. Selnia wonders what Saikyo's motives were for going on a date with Aki, while Saikyo questions if Selnia's kiss was purely out of a noble show of gratitude. When they notice the tickets, both girls want to go with him to the water park, but there's only one spare ticket. Suddenly, Kaede announces over the intercom that in 3 days' time, the school will hold a sports fest. Saikyo takes this opportunity to decide who will receive the other ticket. They ask Kaede to have them placed in separate teams for this reason. Rumors fly around school regarding the hidden reward of going to the water park, with certain deviations. Kaoru hears this reward and intends to compete as well. 3 days later, the sports fest begins, complete with an aircraft parade. Heyday intends to use violent means to force other players to submit to them, so she can win the ticket for Aisa. By design, the events are often lewd and suggestive in nature, a result of Kaeda's interference. Saikyo's team racks up several points ahead of Selnia's, and they fall further behind during the three-legged race, due to Sanai's clumsiness. After being scolded by Selnia, he asks her why she is taking the competition so seriously, since it's just a ticket. She tells him he is part of the whole reason why, but he's confused. The two girls make their way to the track to prepare for the foot race. Selnia ends up losing the race, and Aki comforts her. She explains that growing up as a member of the Flameheart family, she was exposed to unimaginable pressure, but she never broke and soldiered on to become the best lady she can be. She says that especially now, she has a reason not to lose. He later asks Saikyo for her motivation in her rivalry with Selnia, and she replies that's because her mother remarried into riches. She had to struggle with all her might to get into the academy. Seeing Selnia, who seems so effortlessly flawless, makes Saikyo feel that she can't lose. Likewise, she also has a reason why she cannot lose. For the final event, the cavalry battle, Kaede slaps a 100-point bonus, making it a winner-takes-all, rendering all previous events moot. Selnia promises to win with all her might, and she becomes annoyed when she sees Saikyo's smug face. The match begins, but right off the bat, several girls are disqualified, as they are not strong enough to maintain their formation. Selnia shows no mercy to foe, and she nabs both her and Sayori's bandana. Eventually, only Saikyo remains, carried by Kaoru. It turns into a battle of wills, with both sides struggling until evening. When Saikyo orders a sideways charge, Kaoru's face comes dangerously close to Aki's. She becomes embarrassed and drops Saikyo, and Selnia leads too far forward to grab her bandana. She falls, but is caught by Aki, and her team is declared the winner. Selnia tells Aki to stop calling her drills, and in exchange, she will call him by his name. Selnia and Saikyo meet at the baths, where they later admit her defeat, much to Selnia's surprise. They reaffirm their rivalry, as the competition is not fun when it's over. Later, Aki gives Selnia the ticket as promised, and she asks him when he plans to go. To their surprise and confusion, he gives his own ticket to Saikyo, as he notices how badly she seemed to want to go. The two girls are baffled at how dense he is and decide to call him an idiot. They slap him at the same time, leaving him confused.